Hello and welcome to this special show on Rajya Sabha Television. Here we take stock of India's fight against COVID-19 and all aspects of it, be it the drugs, the vaccines which are being developed and the work which is being done on the ground and various technologies also which are being used. Specifically, digital technologies have played a very vital role in this fight against COVID-19. Today we're going to talk about the Digital India program, what have been the achievements, and also how this particular aspect, that is the digital technologies, have helped us in COVID-19 crisis, and also from here onwards how this will impact our lives. So for more on this, we joined by a distinguished panel of guests. Let me first introduce them to you, beginning with Mr. Abhishek Singh. He is the CEO of National e-Governance Division, who's looking after the Digital India program. We're also joined by Mr. Subimal Bhattacharjee. He is our digital technology expert, and Mr. Sanjay Nayak, the chairman of FICCI's Science, Technology and Innovation Committee. Welcome all of you gentlemen to Rajya Sabha TV studios. Let me begin with you, Mr. Singh, and let's start by taking an overview of the journey so far as Digital India program is concerned.
See, today we are completing 5 years of Digital India. And if you remember, like 5 years back, on 1st of July 2015, the Digital India program was launched by Honorable Prime Minister with the tagline, Power to Empower. So what it does is that it leverages technology in such a way that it leads to empowering citizens with the power to access services in an equitable, in an accessible format. In the last 5 years, we look at it, the way we have made progress in building certain basic building blocks which enable access to citizens of various public services. The progress made by India has been phenomenal. If you look at the Aadhaar project, the UID project, it was started a few years back. But the way it was adopted in order to enable citizens to not only be covered almost 100%, but also use it to provide, say, banking services, to enable financial inclusion, to build in direct benefit transfers, it has really made it a unique way in which citizens are able to get services on an anywhere, anytime basis. Then the other big revolution that has happened in the 5 years, if you look at the journey, we see the UPI, the payment interface, the unified payment interface that we have. It's something which doesn't exist in the most advanced countries of the world. Like the way payments are done on a fly, even small ticket payments, whether it's 1 rupee or 5 rupees or 10 rupees, and the speed at which it happens at the Bhim app or the other apps which ride on UPI, and it like works across platforms, across banks in the most seamless manner. The number of transactions, digital transactions, of course, it was pushed up to 2016, but the way digital transactions have gone up today, and it has led to the ease of the technology and the interoperability part of it, has made that even citizens in all parts of the country have adopted it. The other few, so what Aadhaar does is that it enables faceless governance. What UPI has done is that it enabled cashless governance. And another great initiative, which again was led by Ministry of Electronics and IT, was the DigiLocker, which enabled citizens to get access to their documents in a anywhere, anytime format without having to carry paper documents. So whether it's your PAN card or whether your driving license or whether your academic documents, they're all stored securely on your DigiLocker, and this enables the very important part of IT and e-governance, which is the paperless governance. So with these basic things, we have gone up to establishing a regime whereas we have a faceless, cashless and paperless governance. And over and above this, riding on these blocks, there is every department has a potential to offer services which will make life easier for citizens. Then if you look at the other initiatives of the last 5 years, I would definitely count the government e-marketplace, the GEM portal, which has transformed procurement for the government in a very transparent manner. It has cut down the cycle of procurement that we do. It has enabled that people are able to buy things in a transparent manner and a very quick turnaround time. Then the GSTN network, which is enabling GST transactions. The network of common service centers, which is enabling access to citizens in rural areas where people might not have the skill sets or people might not have devices to do that. I can go on and on, but the power will be to enable agriculture services, education services, health services. This has been the journey of Digital India, and there is a lot more to come as we go ahead in the next few years.
Okay, definitely. There is a lot more, but so far so good. And as you're pointing out, faceless, cashless, and paperless as well. The idea being making it more efficient and transparent in terms of governance out there. Mr. Bhattacharjee, your views on the 5 years of Digital India campaign. How far have we been able to achieve the targets which we had set for ourselves 5 years ago?
Vishal, this is a milestone year for digital activities in the country. While we complete 5 years of Digital India, but this is also the year that we celebrate 25 years of internet in India, as well as 25 years of cellular services in India just in a few weeks. So if you look at the 5 years out of those 25, the last 5 years have been rapid progress, all-round progress among a lot of things. I think the basic pillars on which the whole program, Digital India, was envisaged, you are one is the digital infrastructure build-up, two is the governance framework and structure, and three is the digital empowerment of citizens. Now, if you try and measure each in all these three areas, you would see sizable progress. If you look at the digital infrastructure, the BharatNet program that we spoke about, out of the 2.5 lakh villages, village panchayats that is supposed to connect, already more than 1 lakh 25,000 panchayats are already connected. More than almost 4 lakhs of kilometers of optical fibers have been laid. Now, remote places, even in the northeast and other places, are today able to communicate with you anywhere in the country because the connectivity has reached them. If you look at the governance areas, you see so much has changed in the whole e-governance system as well as the delivery. A lot, Mr. Abhishek mentioned a little bit, but if you look at it, how much we have saved in the resources, how much we have taken the middleman out of the system. We have brought so much of transparency just with the application of the governance frameworks. You mentioned about Aadhaar and the targeted delivery that we have done so far. This is a wonderful example to the world. And if you come to the third aspect of empowerment, digital empowerment of citizens, look at the pace at which social media and all these forums have gone across the country, and everyone today is able to give his opinion out on many issues, and government is factoring much of these responses while framing the policy also. So in a nutshell, in the 5 years, if you have to pick up on all the three pillars, there has been visible progress, and I would think that this has been a pedestal on which you are absolutely going to encircle this country in a much larger digital ecosystem. So so far, to answer you in one word, I think this has been a fantastic journey.
Okay, overall digital ecosystem, something which you are building up there. Let's have the industry point of view here as well. I'm joined by Mr. Sanjay Nayak, FICCI's chairman of Science, Technology and Innovation Committee. Mr. Nayak, from the industry's point of view, these 5 years of Digital India campaign, how successful it has been, and also how beneficial from the industry's perspective, because it opens up a lot of avenues.
Absolutely. First of all, it's been a fantastic effort in terms of what has been actually delivered. As common citizens, I'm pretty sure every single one of us has been positively impacted and actually has seen tangible results, whether you live in the cities, whether you live in the villages. So there's been a positive impact from a societal point of view in terms of lives have become more comfortable, to put it simply. Secondly, there's a lot of transparency, a lot of increased efficiency, and a large economic impact. But the way I saw, if I see from a big picture perspective for Digital India, I saw 4 things which were done very, very interesting. 2 of them I would call are foundational work. This is like things you do over a generation. So for example, the BharatNet infrastructure that we have built is, by the way, the world's largest rural broadband greenfield project. And this is gigabits of capacity on the same fiber to the home network that people are talking, when they're going to have fiber to the home, when people want to really work from home and all that. So all the villages actually have a better infrastructure than the cities today in terms of the fiber optic infrastructure. So foundational infrastructure, which provides connectivity with the mobile did provide. The second thing is foundational software stack. The whole concept of Aadhaar, the UPI, the DigiLocker, that has basically created the foundation on which a lot of the digital economies, startups in India have actually created. Without that foundational infrastructure, most of the e-commerce things that we enjoy today won't have happened, whether it's for payments, whether it is for distant learning, for e-commerce, location-based services, all of that. So I think what Digital India has did is really accelerated India's startup ecosystem from an economic perspective because the foundational infrastructure was built. And the fourth part, I think, hasn't happened as well as we would have liked it to be, is really the Make in India, which, we talked about that import of electronics in today's oil prices, by the way, is possibly the number one item of our trade deficit today, right? Mm-hmm. And this was envisaged 5-10 years back. And today, we have done a good progress in what I would call a factory-led manufacturing approach, where a lot of mobile factories have been set up. I would like to see that a design-led manufacturing where we create our own products or create our own IPR is also done. So I think if you think of Make in India, the infrastructure of BharatNet, the foundational stack, and all the acceleration of applications, the four things together, I believe, has really created a model in the world where how do you take a traditional economy in a 5-year period, convert it to a totally digital economy. And this experience, by the way, I think is a very unique experience as in the new world of socio-economic and political things that are happening. India should use this opportunity, and I believe personally it's about $100 billion worth of export opportunity if you take all the four pieces of this stack, go to Africa, Latin America, Southeast Asia, and tell this is what we've done in India. We can jumpstart you into it. We know how to do local languages, so we can easily translate. We are trustworthy. I think this is what the power of what has been done in terms of economic impact and societal impact for everybody.
Okay, definitely. There is a lot more to be done, and there are a lot of opportunities out there in terms of, what can be done. One aspect you pointed out, Mr. Nayak, is a big bit of more focus on making India when we talk about the digital or electronic manufacturing here. Let me bring in Mr. Singh again here. Mr. Singh, these two aspects, one is the Make in India aspect, which Mr. Nayak spoke about, and the second one is bridging that digital divide. Obviously, the foundation base is being put in place like BharatNet and all that, but a lot more needs to be done to bridge that digital divide, which is still being talked about. Sometimes when we talk about online learning platforms now, every time there is this particular reason being cited that there is still a digital divide which needs to be bridged.
Yeah, so in fact, very pertinent issues, and I would like to mention that the theme of this year's our 5-year event, which we are observing today, is Digital Bharat, Atmanirbhar Bharat. So the belief and the thinking within the government is that while we have done great work with regard to building the platforms or providing IT services to the world, we have been like the IT back office for the world in every way which we can think of. But we see very few products are there which have been like actually developed within India and which have captured whether the market, whether in India or abroad. So so with this in mind, now we have also started a campaign in order to ensure that we incubate startups, we support entrepreneurs in order to they be able to prepare products that can serve the Indian market as well as also go on to become world leaders. So recently we launched a video conference challenge because there were a lot of issues in this new normal that we are living in, COVID-19. Most of the meetings, this recording is also happening online. So people have started adopting online tools, VC tools. So government also started using Zoom, Microsoft Teams. And there's some issues raised about security issues around Zoom. It was felt that why can't we kind of build up our own solution? So we launched a VC solution, and I'm happy to note that the kind of response that we got, the kind of solutions that have been built by our own entrepreneurs are world class, and they have built it from the scratch in just 1.5 months. We just evaluated them over the last 2 weekends, and the top 5 of them are going to the next round to build the final solution. And I am sure with this kind of spirit, this kind of enterprise, very soon we will be having more Indian products in the software space. The other issue which you mentioned about the digital divide is again something that we are abreast of, and especially when we are going to e-learning and online education, what we find is that in cities and public schools and urban areas, there are a lot of classes happening online with various tools, and people have devices. There are some families who have got multiple devices, but still in many parts of rural India, people, one, do not have access to high-speed internet. Number 2, they might not have devices. If there are 2 children in a house, they might not have 2 devices, one for each. So online learning has a risk of creating digital haves and digital have-nots. To address this, the Swayam Prabha initiative was launched by the government, in which there are 32 TV channels through which on the DTH platform classes are being, 12 new channels are being added, And along with DTH, it is felt that with electronics manufacturing being supported under the PLI scheme that the Ministry of Electronics and IT has launched, if there can be some entrepreneurs who can come up with low-cost tablets which can have preloaded content from NCRT, from CBSE, where digital content is available, and they can serve as textbooks, they can serve as resource material for students at a very low cost. And they can be subsidized to some extent, they can be made available on an installment model. There can be multiple ways in which this kind of initiatives can be taken up in order to address the issues of digital divide.
Okay. Mr. Bhattacharjee, your views there on these two aspects, digital divide, bridging that particular gap, and obviously giving that push to make in India, as Mr. Nayak was pointing out.
Yeah, I think very important point Mr. Nayak made. But, coming to the point of digital divide, I think the whole effort of Digital India in the first place was to take away and reduce the digital divide in the country. If you look at how we are today, and as I think Mr. Nayak had only said that in remote areas also, now in rural areas you get better broadband connectivity, and I witnessed it firsthand. It's always available, and more and more people are getting connected. More and more people are communicating in local language digitally. I think the whole effort is primarily to reduce that digital divide. Of course, COVID-19 and this scenario has showed us where we have gone in terms of digital delivery of education, where possibly the system itself wasn't ready for something like this, and hence were learning as everything was picking up. And by and large, we know that we are far away from an optimal scenario in terms of how you reach out to the last mile in most cases. But by and large, I think this is an opportunity for us to use the next few years to come to an equitable level where the poorer section, the rural areas, the far-flung areas, everyone come up with the cities and towns in terms of education delivery online. Similarly, telemedicines, I think efficacy in terms of going via the digital networks has been more widely realized, as online consultations and video-based consultations have increased. So I think this is something which I think we should take as an activity for the next few years. And I'm sure, with the availability of broadband that is going and the preponderance of the applications that are also coming in place and a motivation of the government. So I don't think, we are really going to be too much skewed in terms of not coming to an optimal situation in the near future.
Okay.
In terms of manufacturing, local manufacturing of electronic production, I think a good indicator is how we have done in terms of getting mobile manufacturing in the country. But as we all know that I think Make in India has to still pick up steam, and particularly in this area, today when we are battling a lot of issues, of parts and, different tiers of suppliers, most of that, coming from a neighbor who has suddenly gone too much hostile. And then, of course, the various apps, that take care of the, whatever basic application that you need for governance, working, etc., as well as the entertainment feed for the society. All of that, I think, is an opportunity. And Make in India, look at the hardware part, look at the software part, look at the networking part, the glue part that you would have to connect all of these. I think this is something that should have a much wider priority, and a mission mode approach, I would think, is something that would be required, where you are actually able to cover all this gap. The huge opportunity today to get into areas that form the backbone of this whole, hardware ecosystem, right from the chips down to the, desktop in front of you or the device in front of you. This is something that we have to harness, and there is no reason why we cannot do it.
Okay, definitely. There is no reason why it can't be done. If you've come so far, we can go further as well. Let me bring in Mr. Nayak here again. Mr. Nayak, in your first response, you spoke about how all of us have felt the positive impact of digital technologies on our lives, and more so in these last 3 to 4 months, specifically in this crisis period when we are battling a particular pandemic. So if you look at this particular period, and if you want to go ahead and gaze into a bit into future to try and understand what we might be looking up to in the days to come, or weeks to come, or months to come as well, in terms of the impact digital technology will have on our lives, or how it might change the way we do things, which we still do in a particular way?
So first of all, for good or bad reasons, the changes that we've gone in the last 3 months are here to stay. There is what is being called the new normal, in terms of, at least in the cities, a lot of people will work from home even on a longer term basis. That automatically, depend on whom you talk to, brings more challenges or benefits of work-life balance. But that apart, what really the whole COVID-19 situation has done is it has accelerated the adoption of digital technologies for a common man. I think this is a thing which would have taken, say, 3-4. Just look at e-learning. Just look at telemedicine. Just look at the financial inclusion aspects of things, or e-commerce aspect of things. They just got accelerated because of this situation that we all got into. So I really believe that the current situation is actually an opportunity, because India did not have a lot of these legacy infrastructure or legacy ways of doing things, so we can straight away jump into the new way of things. So I think that's one thing which is going to happen. The second thing which is connected with the current situation, and I think we also talked about in the context of manufacturing ecosystem, I just want to make a point there, is this whole Atmanirbhar Bharat call that our Prime Minister has really said is, to me, is the Make in India 2.0, if I were to say, because what it is doing is now going into the design-led manufacturing. See, India has two fundamental assets which are unparalleled in the world. Number one is our large home market, and we can create economies of scale using our own domestic consumption. So not only will you do import substitution, you're going to create a very large economies of scale. And second is our talent. It's common knowledge that around 40 to 50% of the development engineers, R&D engineers working in telecommunication equipment, 4G, 5G of the world are either in Bangalore, Gurgaon or Hyderabad. So if we have 50% of the world's products being done for someone else, as Abhishek said, why can't India do its own product? And this is not from a jingoistic or a nationalistic reason. This is sheerly from an economic and self-reliance and security reasons. When we have $100 billion opportunity of Indian products going to the world staring at us, and when people want an alternate to China, when people want diversity of supply chain, why would India not want to step up to the plate, use the talent in the country, use the positive policies we have? All which is needed is a little bit more push in terms of what I would call is the design-led manufacturing approach to our Indian products, like Abhishek talked about, creating our own version of video calling and so on. By the way, one concrete example I want to give as a success thing. BharatNet was created with 100% design and made in India products. In fact, my company Tejas Networks, we provided about 70% of that. But that was not, that is just the starting point. Using that success, now we are going to be doing GPON, which is fiber to the home, for all major operators in India. And not only that, we are now selling it to 75 countries around the world. So here's an example. You use your domestic demand, give an opportunity to Indian entrepreneurs who have the capabilities, as we all know. They will get the economies of scale in India and then go to the world. This has to be a blueprint that we use our domestic market and go to the world. And there's a serious amount of welcome for Indian technology in the world because of the trust factor. I really think we are getting unsolicited calls from customers in countries that we are not even there, that, hey, we heard about you guys and we would like to buy from you. So I'm just saying this is the opportunity which is staring at us post-COVID world, and we should take advantage of it.
Okay, that seems to be a very promising scenario out there and a promising blueprint as well. Let's have concluding comments from Mr. Singh. Mr. Singh, your views on what to expect from here onwards when we talk about future in terms of the impact of digital technologies on our lives individually, as a society as a whole, or country as a whole as well. And what is the strategy or the blueprint to meet those challenges or benefit from these opportunities?
See, like if you look at the life now, as we are commonly known as the new normal after COVID-19, we see that digital technologies are being adopted at a much faster rate, whether it is work from home, whether it's video conferencing, whether it's online education. I see e-health being a next major thing in which there will be a big push. Already the work on national health stack is being taken up, and very soon we'll have a situation wherein people will be able to talk to your doctors in a secure manner, ensure that the identity of the patient, ensure the identity of the doctor is verified, ensure the advisories of the doctors which are given on audio, video, or on a prescription is stored in secure electronic health records that can be accessed only with the consent of the citizen and can be shared with anyone, any health service provider of your choice. So going ahead, there's a lot of online work. The growth of broadband will be a big thing, and at the same time, it will also give, because India has a benefit of scale. So anything that works in India, whether it's like work from home, video conferencing, online education, online health, will have great ramifications for these products being used anywhere in the world. So that opportunity is there. So the opportunity is there for Indian startups to catch on this, to build solutions that are world class, that are world beaters. For the hardware industry also, there's a huge opportunity, because there will be, once you go online, there will be an increase in the demand of electronics products. The world is also looking India as a manufacturing option with a China plus one strategy, and so there also a lot of opportunity lies. What it requires is the government, industry, academia, all of them to work together hand in hand and ensure that we complement each other's efforts and build a IT-enabled, digital-empowered country, which will not only serve the services, which not serve the public services, but it will also help in the digital growth of the economy, help realize the dream of the $1 trillion digital economy that we have had. So this is the opportunity that we are looking at. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Singh out there, Mr. Bhattacharjee, and Mr. Nayak as well, for sharing your views with us on this. So this is all about the Digital India program, the flagship scheme of the Government of India, how it has done for the last 5 years, what lies in the future in terms of challenges and opportunities. And going by what our panelists are pointing out, all stakeholders seems to be pretty enthused about tackling those challenges and benefiting from these opportunities as well. We'll come back again tomorrow with a different topic, but till then you keep watching Rajya Sabha television, and do not forget to follow all the guidelines with respect to social distancing, and please step out of your house with a face mask. Thank you.